Mustafa, welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
Hey John, how are you? I'm good. Thank you so much for inviting me.
For sure. Excited to talk to you. You have some really cool experience. And to
Thank
start
you.
out,
Thank
for
you.
those who aren't familiar with that experience yet, can you kind of talk briefly about how you got into Bitcoin, some of the groups you've worked with, and where you are now?
Sure. I actually started in Bitcoin in 2013, pretty early during my time in college. And in 2017, I became the first employee of Huobi Global in the United States. I was basically helping to start an exchange back then called Hedge, which is a Huobi US branch, although it was like a very separate entity. I worked there for almost 6 months to a year, and then later on I went to a Hong Kong quant fund called Amber Group. I worked at Amber as a venture partner for almost a year, and Amber grew like very fast. We grew from I think 15 to 20 people at the early stage to now almost 170 employees full time. And recently Amber just finished a very large fundraising from Paradigm, Pantera, Polychain, Coinbase
Yeah.
Venture, Blockchain.com. So it has been very, very successful. And during this time at Amber, I met the team from Bixin, who was working with Amber at the time and continues to date have a very good relationship with Amber. And at the time, the Bixin mining CEO, Liu Fei, was my previous supervisor also at Huobi Global. And so we clicked, and I'm from a region in China called Xinjiang. And so because of my background and because of my family business in the area, I oftentimes went to Central Asia and Russia as a kid. And so as Bixin knew our family business relationship there, they asked me to help, look at the mining farms there. And so slowly, I switched from a full-time position at Amber to now a venture partner to full-time position at Bixin. So now I work at full-time at Bixin, and the two main tasks I do at Bixin is one, looking at fund of funds and help deploy the capital via our fund of fund. Another one is mining farm sourcing. So I oftentimes spend time in areas such as Siberia, Central Asia, and US to help globally do due diligence and the source on mining farms.
Yeah, super interesting. Yeah, set of experiences there. So your first hire in the US at Huobi is a cool thing in itself. I mean, how does that happen right at that time? Were you you're just kind of reaching out? You knew you wanted to work in Bitcoin.
Yeah. So like I said, I got into crypto in like 2013. So I was like doing different stuff, working with different people and like trading on the side. So one of my close friends back in college later on became the secretary of board at Huobi after she went back to China. Because of how early she also got involved in crypto and the crypto communities in China. So back in 2017, she recommended me to the Huobi, management, and that's how I landed the job.
Yeah, cool. So you picked some good winners, Huobi, and then Amber, which you mentioned has been growing like crazy and had some well-known partners come aboard as investors. And now Bixin. What that family business? What's the family business that had you running around Central Asia and Russia prior to Bixin?
Right. So my family have been in export and import business for a very long time, and actually I speak almost fluent in Uzbek, and I stayed there as a kid in Uzbekistan in Tashkent. So I'm very familiar with the Central Asian culture. And in addition, since I was a kid, I spent a lot of time with my Russian friends also, and so very familiar with both Russia and
very cool.
Central Asia culture. That
particular set of skills there. Uzbek is not probably a commonly spoken language around our industry here. What about Russian? How's your Russian?
No, not good. The Russian is like very, very minimal. But luckily, most people I met in Russia have been speaking English.
Yeah, fair. All right, cool. And then so you kind of got into what you do at Bixin. You're also head of global business development. You know, kind of more specifically in those kind of two things. Can you talk a little bit more about Bixin's business overall? Some of the wallet
Sure.
mining stuff. Just kind of give an overview, and then we'll get into some of the stuff that you're more focused on personally.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bixin mainly have two business. One is called Bixin Wallet, another is Bixin Finance. Under Bixin Wallet, that is what we're mostly known for in Asia. And we have custody lending, OTC, payment trading, cloud mining as part of the ecosystem. And so it's a pretty complete ecosystem of wallets. And under Bixin Finance, we mostly have Bixin Mining and a fund of funds. Under Bixin Mining, we currently manage roughly around 300 megawatts per hour, which is roughly around 2.5 to 3% of the global Bitcoin network. We are very early investor of What's Miner, which is currently one of the largest mining manufacturer. And the majority of the mining farms and mining equipment are also, directly owned by Bixin as we started mining in 2009. The fund of fund is supported by Bixin's prop capital, currently, which is also under Bixin Finance, which is currently running about 6,600 Bitcoin. It's 100% Bitcoin denominated, and we currently mostly invest in quant funds in Asia, US, and the European regions. I think last year, we actually started the fund last year, early last year, but announced it this year because we wanted to get more global presence and wanted to invest in more global quant funds.
Yeah, interesting. So 6,000 Bitcoins, 60 million bucks, hereabouts. And you manage kind of the allocation of those funds and the risk management of where it's going. What's that process been like? You mentioned that you all kind of mostly in the beginning were putting it to work with Asian hedge funds, Asian quant funds. What are you seeing in terms of like the offerings over there, and what's around over here? You wanted to spread it out a little bit, make a presence more known globally. You said with the announcement this year. What have you seen just in terms of the quality of the teams, what's offered, how the results have been?
Yeah, that's a very, very interesting question. So when we invest in Asia, we mostly see funds that are doing arbitrage, and we're also seeing a lot of high frequency liquidity provision strategies. And those are kind of relatively safe strategies, which is some strategies we see very common in Asia. Like also BTC denominated, I think is much more common in Asia compared to Western managers, which I'll explain why very soon. So starting this year, January, we have looked at a lot more funds from Europe and US regions. And if anyone is listening, when anyone listens to this podcast, and if you're a quant fund, please happy to reach out to us.
There you go.
But when we look at the Western managers, I think a lot of them come from a very institutional background. A lot of them come from investment banks or traditional trading desks, and they're very used to USD denominated terms. So it has been a challenge for us to find more BTC denominated terms. And I think part of the reason is because the Western managers, their investors are mostly institutional investors. And I think institutions slowly
still
are
counting their profits in USD.
Bitcoin. Correct. Yes. So most of them are still counting their profit in USD. And so I think that's why the managers mostly designing that way. But within the past 6 months, even we started to see some of the funds switching to Bitcoin, and they started to reach back out to us regarding to and telling us their new offering.
Yeah, interesting. All right, and then back just a bit to Bixin's kind of business lines. So you mentioned kind of the full stack of from wallets to mining, all these things. What's the kind of the wallet, I guess, starting out mainly to kind of serve those miners and kind of be a part of that stack. What's kind of the competitive landscape of that wallet business over there now, or and how it fits? Talk a little bit more how it fits into the mining offerings and kind of what the synergies are there with that stack that y'all operate.
Sure. So in the beginning of the wallet industry, I think we had already seen some mostly seen on-chain wallets, but later a lot of mixation of on-chain and off-chain wallets, with the main purpose of actually serving miners at the early age. And I think a difference between West and the East,
custodial, non-custodial. Another way of saying that.
Correct. And so one of the main things I personally saw in Asia is, I think in Asia, people care much more about user experience. And I mean, obviously they care about safety, but user experience always is like a very important component when designing wallets. And also in recent years, one of the new trends we see is hardware wallet in Asia too. So, at the beginning, we started to see more off-chain wallets which are designed very user-friendly. And now we actually started to see major wallet companies, even and including us, we started to publish hardware wallet, which we will publish to the market very soon. But a lot of our colleagues in the market are also doing the same thing. Other than that, I think lots of platforms in the market are also pushing out their own wallets. For example, F2Pool have Kobo, Bitmain, Matrixport, Poolin also started to have their own wallet. Binance acquired Trust Wallet. And inside this wallet, right, they're providing a variety of financial services. And just take Bixin, for example, we now currently offer, as we mentioned earlier, lending, custody, cloud mining, escrow, even option trading, OTC, all inside our wallet. So I think wallets offering are getting a lot more diversified as a one-stop shop. And the way I see it is almost becoming like a broker in this ecosystem by streaming, not only putting the service to itself, but also streaming services from other parties, or building a tunnel with third-party service providers.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think that's where I see the trend is going.
Yeah. So is that something that y'all are doing now? You have third-party financial kind of offerings inside your custodial wallet as options for users?
So one of the things we're working with third parties on the payment. So we also have payment inside our wallet stream. So as we have such large user base in Asia, what we're doing is that we're trying to encourage people to be more BTC denominated. And one of the things they can do right now is to purchase, goods on our merchant side inside the wallet using crypto. And I mean, right now they can do it with USDS, which is a stable token issued by Bixin that is 100% backed by Bitcoin. And so people can actually now purchase stuff through third-party merchants inside wallet.
Very cool. Good example. And then, so that's interesting on the wallet side for sure. Kind of the trends of a trend on where that's headed a little bit. Onto the so the funds that y'all manage and the 6,000 BTC. Can you talk a little bit more about you kind of talked about some of the differences between Asian and Western managers that you've seen to date, how that's changing a little bit. Can you talk a little bit more about so you're in charge of that fund. Can you talk a little bit more about how y'all are allocating it, so the risk management that you incorporate, and just kind of operationally how it's handled?
Sure. So on the fund side, to be honest, so we right now have our team both in Asia and me outside of China. And I'm mostly in charge of helping to source and helping to allocate to the funds outside of China, mainly in the US and Europe, and we also have a team in China. And on the risk management side, so within each different business sector, our mining wallet and the fund of fund, we have completely different risk management system and a separate financials
Yeah.
To keep you to mostly keep users funds safe on the wallet side and
important distinction to make there. Yeah.
Yeah, and on the fund of fund side, I think our largest concern is still on the custody. So one of the main thing we do is like we still invest mostly in managed accounts. So the managers basically trade within our own exchange wallet through APIs. So that's how we kind of manage the custody risks. Obviously, we have a very strongly tested due diligence process toward the funds that we invest in. But I guess that's more toward due diligence. But on the fund itself, the largest concern is the custody, and right now, managed account is the solution we have found.
Yeah, interesting. And again, if you're a quant or hedge fund manager in Europe or North America, South America, let Mustafa know.
Thanks, John.
Were you seeing any trends on the custody side? So it makes sense what you're doing now. It's something that a lot of people have talked about working on. You have some of the big players in the U.S. who are talking about going public this year that have large custody offerings. What are you? Just any general thoughts on kind of where custody is going? What other kind of developments need to happen?
Yeah, so recently we have been speaking to some of the largest also player in the market, such as Fidelity, which we have tremendous respect for them for starting so early, right? As a large institution, they started so early. But even for Fidelity, it took them a while to kind of offer the service publicly, and custody is the first service that they have offered publicly to institutions, and it has been met with I think tremendous success in the market. And I think where we see custody going for sure is it will be more and more mature toward and tailored toward institutional investors. One of the things that I have been kind of seeing from the fund of fund level is that some of the large institutional custody platform might start offering trading on top of the custody solution. So it's almost like, right now we have to ask managers to trade inside our exchange account. But in the future, if the custody platform started to act as a prime broker and offer trading within their own custody on top of their custody solution, there could be a chance that that could be a future trend in the custody market.
Yeah, interesting. And to some of your other kind of international business development work. So you're based in LA now, but you mentioned you've spent a lot of time in Central Asia and Russia, sourcing spots for mining. We talked to BitRiver a few weeks ago, who operates out of Siberia. Want to kind of get into your experience a little bit. So a Chinese company, you're I guess looking to diversify some of their geographic footprint in terms of where their hash power is. What was kind of your process for starting to look for the right places to source? Just kind of take us through that initial work that you did there on the mining side.
Sure. So as mentioned earlier, when we look at the mining opportunity outside of China, the first thing we looked at is the electricity surplus area and the waste energy for mining. And one is environmentally friendly, but obviously it's cheaper too. And and that's one of the reasons where China can have such cheap electricity and the concentration of mining in the past is because during the summertime, Sichuan region have excessive amount of hydropower. Where in China we call it like rainy season, where the cost of electricity can get a lot cheaper compared to winter times. And
sometimes a little too rainy.
In fact,
I think this year might be one of those.
Yeah, right. And in fact, we have been also paying very close attention to overseas markets. So Russia, as an example, have excessive amount of hydropower, and that's because in the Soviet time they built a lot of infrastructure, and now in regions like Siberia, they have excessive amount of energy because of hydro stations. And Southeast Asia also have excessive amount of hydro, and Central Asia have excessive amount of thermal energy in some of the region. And I think in the United States, we started to see people playing people treating mining almost like energy business now, getting into wholesale market, supply and demand side, which is also a trend actually we see in Russia. But they're also, trading inside the energy system, and then also getting off the grid in some of the cases legally. And so these type of measures are definitely increasing the mining capacity outside of China. In fact, this year we heard from What's Miner, the share of outside of China purchase have, increased quite a lot this year actually. And so I think in the coming years, we'll definitely see mining more decentralized outside of China.
Yeah, interesting. And so you're based in LA right now, while at least while COVID life is with us and travel is a little bit more difficult. Something that groups that are looking and setting up capacity in the U.S. Are bullish on the U.S. for is maybe the contracts and the electricity is a little bit more maybe a little bit more assured, a little bit more consistent. Have you done much sourcing out in North America yet? Obviously, you've done a lot over in Southeast Asia. I mean, in Central Asia and Russia.
Yeah.
Is that something that you've been looking at in the U.S. as a company?
So absolutely, we have been looking at the U.S. Also this year. I have looked at New York, Texas, and like different region also in the U.S. So the trend that we found here is also very interesting, which is like I mentioned earlier, people started to treat mining almost more like an energy business, right? I give you a few examples. For example, we spoke to two companies at least in North America, where they're working with oil companies and then using associated gas coming out from the oil, where we sometimes call these flare gas, to do mining business. And it's one tremendously environmentally friendly to help not to burn that gas, but rather convert it to energy and use it outside. But two, it can be very relatively cheap especially if the oil company already have some access infrastructure in place. Also, we started to see a lot of miners in states utilizing supply and demand system on grid. So basically that means when the supply is when the demand is very high on the market, the system operator could potentially significantly reduce the cost or even pay the people on the energy users to stop using energy during a specific time. And this kind of system is almost designed for Bitcoin, because you can just simply not even shut off your machine, but shut off your hash power for a few hours and like save a lot of money and significantly reduce your mining costs. And by the way, this is also the same trend we've been seeing elsewhere, such as Russia, where starting this year, starting to hear more and more about our mining colleagues there who are doing the same thing. And so going forward, I think we think that mining could definitely be more and more energy business, which is very exciting trend to see.
Yeah. Becoming more of an energy business, a little more decentralized. All good things to hear. Back to because I think it was kind of I guess with some of your family business, maybe you're a little bit more able to jump into it with some of that experience. But I mean, going out, finding power plants, finding the right spots in Russia and places like places in Central Asia for Bixin to start to expand the mining footprint. Kind of a daunting thing. Talk a little bit about some of the successes you had there. What kind of some of the outcomes of your time were? How much hash power do you have in that part of the world now? And any kind of interesting tidbits on contract process? Anything that's happened since, I guess.
Yeah, so for sure, I spent almost 6 months in Siberia and the far east of Russia in past 2 years. On and off, I've been to Moscow a few times, and also teams went to Central Asia to explore. Currently, we haven't made any investment on the mining infrastructure in Russia, but we have made over 50 megawatt acquisition in Central Asia. And I will tell you, I guess, why we haven't made an investment in Russia yet. So Russia has been very interesting to look at, right? This tremendous market. People are very also excited about crypto in general, especially the young people in Russia. One of the largest trading volume came from Russia for a lot of major exchanges. And excessive power, it should make sense that the mining should be cheap, right? But after exploring for so long, what we have found is that it's very difficult because the grid system is regulated in Russia. So price of the electricity is, strongly regulated in Russia, even in the cheapest region like Siberia, that as you can do 4 cents on the year-round basis. And that including the cost of our, moving our infrastructure there. I mean, investing in the infrastructure, moving our team there, moving our machine there. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense to invest in Russia at 4 cents per kilowatt hour. But like I said, starting this year, we started to hear more and more miners in Russia also applying supply and demand system, and this has been a trend in Russia. And so I think it's worth taking a second look at in that market. But at least when I looked at it and spent a lot of time there, it was quite difficult to navigate on the grid system at this regulated price. On the Central Asia side, unfortunately I can't disclose which specific country we have investment in, but the price of electricity is around 3 cents, and this is also a grid price, which is quite cheap.
For sure.
And it does make sense for us to make some investment there, and so we have made so. But I think it doesn't matter. Russia, Central Asia, North America are all of the regions that we want to keep an eye for and keep exploring the possibilities.
Yeah, makes sense. So 50 megawatts secured in an unknown location in Central Asia. I like it. So that's a cool bit of things to have done, and then to still be working through. Out of LA, what are just any? So you're out of LA now. You can't move around as much for the last few months. Any other kind of benefits or risks that you've seen kind of associated with a kind of a homegrown Chinese company looking to expand a little bit more into the West? What kind of challenges have you seen? What kind of opportunities have you seen that are unique to that scenario, I guess?
Yeah, so one thing I absolutely love about crypto is like how global it is. Obviously, I think I spend my time traveling to so many different places like Turkey, Middle East, Japan, Korea, and Central Asia, Russia, US. Wherever I go, I think if I find the community of crypto, people are always so welcoming, and the bridge is almost immediately filled when you talk about Bitcoin, right? That almost became a universal language for everyone to communicate on. And so that part of the community support that we have gotten, especially people knowing how BTC denominated and supportive we are toward the ecosystem. So I think that part has been very, very interesting, and it has been tremendous amount of support that we have also gotten from the global community to support the ecosystem. But when it comes to actual operation and investment, obviously, I think the current pandemic and the global macro and macro political and economical issue are also increasingly affecting the global expansion. for example, when we want to invest in quant funds, that's much easier, right? Because that doesn't require physical investment on the ground. It's more of building personal relationship, which is, and then speaking to teams and doing due diligence remotely, which is much easier. But when it comes to investing in the like tens of millions of dollars in an infrastructure in North America or Russia in the current environment, it's a bit difficult. I mean, you just need to take into consideration of, you know, the current political environments and logistics and COVID, and so that have, I think, definitely impacted us. But not just us, but any cross-border businesses. So I think right now too, if a miner in North America wants to purchase a full purchase mining machine from, you know, what's miner or Bitmain, they need to think about so many different things, like how am I going to get my machine here? What's the current tax? Are custom going to be a problem? You know, these are the issues that miners are also facing.
Yeah, throwing on tariffs, taking off tariffs at no notice on things like mining hardware. So yeah, it's a difficult thing to navigate.
But I think mining machine supply has become a problem this year because so many people reached out to us in the US and also in Central Asia or Russia, where we have our network, and asking us if we can help them, you know, buy mining machines from Asia and like help them make introduction, etc. The problem is as far as we know, the mining machines are sold out till Q4, and so supply on the market have I think became a problem in the. So that's one thing people might be kind of surprised to hear, I guess, especially after halving, right? But it has been a major problem right now in the market where the supply side, I mean, we saw like tremendous amount of growth we're seeing a large growth in North America in the mining sector for sure. But I think how are these businesses going to get machines is going to be a problem that they will face soon.
Interesting, yeah. As we hit all-time high difficulty today.
Right.
a looming shortage of hardware to be shipped. All right, dude, all super interesting. And maybe, you know, you kind of mentioned some of the challenges with the current kind of macro and virus climate. Kind of the rest of the year for Bixin. What anything to kind of add on kind of goals rest of the year? Things you're all looking to have roll out.
Yeah, sure. So, you know, I think on the mining sector, we have deployed new Bitcoin machines. We're in the process of also deploying more. And especially, I think, in the coming winter and the dry season, we're looking forward to further increase our hash power from the current rate. And on the fund of fund side, you know, as mentioned, we definitely look forward to invest more in the European and the United States managers, and continue to support the Bitcoin liquidity around the globe. And then on the wallet side, I think one of the things we're most excited about is the payment. So we have a store now inside Bixin Wallet where our users can go in and purchase with Bitcoin denominated currencies. And so we're very excited about that, as I think building wallet, our long-term goal is to also create a better ecosystem for Bitcoin and hoping that it can become more native in people's daily life. So I think we're also definitely...
We need more of those companies and products.
Yeah, so I think we're definitely supporting that ecosystem. Yeah, so those are the three things we definitely look forward to toward the end of the year.
For sure. That sounds good, man. Yeah, usually to close, we do a recommendation. So it can be anything. You're in LA, but you've you know, spent time in other places. It can be something from Uzbekistan, from you know, Beijing, anywhere. But just a recommendation: food, restaurant, movie, anything. It can be a cultural thing. What's a recommendation you would have for someone who hasn't been to that area that they should be aware of?
Ooh, I would say definitely visit Turkey.
Turkey.
I have visited so many places. It has been one of my favorites. Last year we hold a conference. I was a consultant at Huobi last year still, and then we did a conference together in Istanbul called Eurasia Blockchain Week, where we invited so many very tier one funds and exchanges to Turkey for a visit, and I think everybody absolutely loved it. The amount of culture and excitement there in crypto is really surreal. But one of the restaurants I would absolutely recommend there is called Ulu's 29.
Ulu's 29. Okay.
Yeah, it's on the hilltop. It's a restaurant during the day, but turn into a club at night. But I think the view is really, really, really amazing. So that have become one of my favorite restaurants in the world now.
All right, I like it. I'll take that one in heart myself too. Cool. Talked to Tyler from and Hangzhou, and his recommendation was the lake there. So this one's a little bit more exciting. We got a restaurant that turns into a club at night with a nice view. Appreciate the change up.
I guess one more thing is, like, even if you're not mining, you should visit Siberia to visit the Baikal Lake. That's amazing. Like
that's actually what
I think
the
like
River CEO recommended, was that lake. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you go there, eat fish and drink vodka, and that's something you'll remember for life.
Eat fish and drink vodka. It could be yeah. All right, man. Good stuff.
Awesome.
Well, appreciate you hopping on, and may need to do this again when once that fund of funds is 10x and y'all are looking for some more strategies.
For sure, I definitely look forward to that day.